Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. A cold expression flashed across Xiao Yan's face after meeting this lightning beast a couple of times. It was likely that this skill was Hong Chen's killing move. Its strength was indeed quite great. It was likely a DI class Do skill. However, it seemed to require essence blood to activate. Thus, once this skill was used, he would descend into a weary state. In other words, the current Hong Chen was no longer in possession of fighting strength. As long as Xiao Yan was able to settle this lightning beast that was transformed from the lightning Do Qi in Hong Chen's body, this battle would end with the Hong clan losing. Xiao Yan swiftly took a couple of steps back. His hand swiftly formed some seals as numerous after-images flew, causing one's eyes to be dazzled. Following the formation of his hand seal, a wave of jade-green crystal glow swiftly surged from his hand. The hand seal was moved while the wild beasts in front attacked once again. It was even accompanied by a little lightning roar. Xiao Yan frowned slightly. His footsteps withdrew once again and his mouth was also swiftly pulsing. In the end, he became like a toad as he suddenly opened his mouth. Immediately, a soul-stirring lion-tiger roar charged up to the sky, lion-tiger gold-shattering roar. The sudden substance-like sonic wave was spread out from Xiao Yan's mouth quickly. In the face of a head-on collision with this sonic wave, the lightning beast's body that was viciously pouncing over paused immediately. The thunderbolts all over its body were flashing wildly like electricity. Its forelimbs also rubbed against the ground as it was forced back dozens of meters before finally managing to completely block the strength of the sonic wave. The strength from the sonic wave had just scattered when the lightning beast's enormous eyes flickered. A low roar was emitted as it raised its forelimbs. Its enormous body pounced forward like a hungry tiger that had found its prey, and it leaped dozens of meters forward before appearing above Xiao Yan's head. Its savage mouth, covered in a lightning glow, viciously bit toward Xiao Yan's head. Xiao Yan did not withdraw again in the face of the wild bite from the lightning beast. The rate at which his hands formed the seal became faster. An instant later, they suddenly paused and the bright jade-green crystal glow swiftly agglomerated into a mysterious energy handprint. This jade-green energy handprint was only the size of a palm. Its entire body was emitting a crystal luster, looking as though it was being manufactured by a green-colored crystal which gave it an exquisite appearance. Not only was its appearance beautiful, but the energy that was contained within it was quite frightening. While the handprint was formed, the dark figure above Xiao Yan's head had also swiftly arrived. A cold smile surfaced on his face as he raised his head and looked at the enormous mouth of the lightning glow. His body dodged and his arm curled in a strange manner before pressing into the lightning beast's head, see flipping seal. The lightning beast immediately unleashed a frightening roar when the two met. Crackling lightning arcs leaped all over its body. However, these lightning glows swiftly disappeared in a strange manner when they made contact with the jade-green crystal light. A chill flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes as his mouth suddenly emitted a low cry. His hand shook violently and the strength of the light seal suddenly erupted. The bright jade-green glow was just like a sun that had exploded at this moment. The strength of the light covered the wild and violent lightning glow on the body of the lightning beast. Under the erosion of this majestic energy, the arrogant lightning beast emitted a sobbing whine. In the end, it turned into a silver-colored light spot with a boom sound, and burst apart in front of numerous shocked eyes. The light seal had also swiftly disappeared the moment the lightning beast burst apart. Xiao Yan's eyes were cold as he glanced at the shocked face of Hong Chen in the distance. He tightened his hand and the heavy ruler once again appeared. His feet stepped on the ground and his body instantaneously disappeared. Hong Chen's expression changed the moment he saw Xiao Yan's body disappear. He looked at the mighty lightning hammer beside him and his hand hurriedly extended out. Before his hand could make contact with the hammer, however, a fierce wind viciously smashed into his body. The fierce force shook his body until it was dragged over the ground, forming a scar that was dozens of meters long. He has really won. Everyone from the Han clan in the Han clan seats looked at Hong Chen in the arena, who was forced by Xiao Yan's heavy ruler until he dared not even move. They inhaled a deep breath of air and muttered in a manner that suggested they did not quite dare to believe the situation. Although I had already thought highly of him, it seems that I have still underestimated him. This young man is indeed incredible, and Kai softly exhaled as he sighed. The two happiest people were Han Yu and Han Shui. Han Yu sighed in relief, appearing as though she had removed a heavy burden, while Han Shui was inexplicably happy. The skinny figure in the arena had unknowingly left behind an unforgettable imprint within her heart. Clap, clap. The Sky Stone stage was quiet for a moment before the silence was gradually broken by a wave of applause and cheers. The exciting battle between the younger generation had caused them to feel that their trip was worthwhile. This was especially the case for the linen-clothed young man who had left them with an extremely deep impression. The expressions of the people from the Hong clan were unusually ugly amid the cheers of the entire place. Originally, they had thought that they had trapped the Han clan, but they ended up trapping themselves. They had lost all their face today. Xiao Yan slowly retracted his heavy Xian ruler while standing in the arena. He lowered his head, glanced at Hong Chen before turning around to leave. Xiao Yan's body had just turned around when a savage and vicious expression flashed across Hong Chen's eyes while he lay on the ground. Both of his hands pressed on the ground and a lightning-hidden arrow shot out of his sleeves and pierced toward Xiao Yan's back. The sudden unexpected change had immediately caused a countless number of people to let out an exclamation. Immediately, curses sounded. Xiao Yan had let Hong Chen live, yet the latter had actually dared to perform such a despicable and cowardly act. The lightning-hidden arrow accurately struck Xiao Yan's back in front of many shocked gazes before penetrating it. However, not even a little trace of blood appeared as a result. Instead, it caused the figure to gradually become blurry. After image. Hong Chen's heart was immediately shocked upon seeing this scene. He hurriedly pulled back. However, his feet had just stepped back when his body suddenly stiffened. A hand had unknowingly been placed on a spot behind him. Stop! Numerous furious roars were immediately emitted from the Hong clan seats when they saw Xiao Yang suddenly appearing behind Hong Chen. The grey-clothed old man immediately moved, transforming into a blurry figure that shot toward the arena. You have given this life of yours away. Don't blame anyone but yourself. A soft voice was transmitted into Hong Chen's ear while a terrifying chill was spreading from Hong Chen's heart. Before he could beg for mercy, a force had already been ruthlessly shot into his back. Grug. A mouthful of fresh blood was wildly spat out and Hong Chen's body feebly fell. Finally, his head smashed onto the ground. Xiao Yang unleashed a breath and kicked out at the same time, sending Hong Chen's body flying toward a force that was shot over. The grey-clothed old man who was rushing over was just about to attack when he saw Hong Chen shooting toward him. He immediately waved his sleeve and the force was reduced. His hand grabbed Hong Chen and hurriedly observed him. Immediately, the man's expression turned gloomy. Hong Chen did indeed still have a trace of breath remaining. However, the veins in his body had been completely broken by Xiao Yang's palm. In other words, even if Hong Chen was healed, it was likely that he would be a cripple. The grey-clothed old man's gaze was sinister as he turned to Xiao Yang. In his extreme anger, he ended up laughing. Good, good. You actually dared to kill someone from my wind lightning pavilion. Brat, you will definitely regret it. The old man swung his sleeves after his words sounded. A wind wrapped around the unconscious Hong Chen before throwing him toward Hong Li's group who was following close behind. Hong Li received Hong Chen only for his expression to turn green immediately. His gaze was filled with a vicious expression as he looked at Xiao Yang. Regardless of who you are, my Hong clan will not rest until you die. Hong Li's vicious voice caused the noisy Sky Stone stage to gradually become quiet. The unexpected change that had occurred in the arena caused the Sky Stone stage to become a lot quieter. Everyone looked at one another, feeling uncertain about what had happened. From the way they saw it, Hong Chen deserved to be seriously injured. After all, the other party had let him off, but he had actually launched a sneak attack. Such an ending was something that he deserved. Of course, due to the strength of the Hong clan in Tianbei City, no one dared to voice the thoughts within their hearts. Hong Li, what are all of you doing? Other people might not say anything, but the Han clan definitely needed to step forward. Immediately a group of human figures rushed down from the tall platform before finally entering the arena and appearing beside Xiao Yan. Hong Li, Hong Chen has already been defeated in this match today. Does the Hong clan wish to eat their words? Han Kai furiously stared at Hong Li and coldly cried out, "The Sky Stone stage is the natural fighting ring of the Tian Bei city. One's life and death is up to fate when one fights in this place. Don't tell me that your Hong clan is unaware of the rules?" Hong Li's face twitched a little upon being reprimanded by Han Kai. The fierceness in his eyes surged as he furiously laughed. "The old me doesn't care. This brat has hurt my son. The Hong clan will definitely not just let things be. Does your Han clan wish to start a war with my Hong clan because of an outsider?" Han Kai's face turned gloomy. His gaze stared at Hong Li as his cold voice firmly resounded above the arena. "Xiao Yan is someone the Han clan has invited. If we abandon him after he lent our Han clan a hand, who else would dare help our Han clan in the future? Even if you wish to use war as a threat, I shall clearly state that the Han clan will protect Xiao Yan." The Han clan had to step forward even if they needed to start a war with the Hong clan for an outsider, regardless of the benefits or losses in doing so. If they were to shrink back at this moment, the reputation of the Han clan would become terrible. In the future, they could forget about surviving in the Tian Bei city. Han Kai clearly understood this point. Hence, his words were extremely stern when he spoke them. There was not the least bit of hesitation. These words of Han Kai were not without any effect. At the very least, waves after waves of cheers sounded from around the Sky Stone stage after these words were uttered. Seeing that Han Kai was determined to oppose him, the expression of Hong Li immediately became extremely ugly. Although the words he spoke were a little vicious, their Han clan did not stand on the righteous side in the matter today. However, it was also impossible if he was asked to swallow this foul taste of Hong Chen being crippled for no reason. Hong Chen had always been seen as the rising star of their Hong clan. The clan had put in an enormous amount of effort to groom him. However, Hong Chen had been completely crippled by Xiao Yan. How could his fury be extinguished? The Han clan does have some courage. A faint old voice suddenly sounded while Hong Li's expression changed. Everyone followed the voice and looked over, only to see the grey-clothed old man. Han Kai's eyes swept over the grey-clothed old man. His expression changed slightly after pausing on the badge on the other party's chest. Someone from the Wind Lightning Pavilion? Everyone knew that the Wind Lightning Pavilion was incomparably strong and was unreasonable in their actions. The people there were also terribly arrogant, causing others to involuntarily feel worried. "May I know old sir's name?" Han Kai cupped his hands together and courteously asked. Even though the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion was merely one of the 4 pavilions, it was still much stronger than their Han clan. Hence, Han Kai was naturally afraid of slighting the other party. "The old me is Chen Yun from the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion." The grey-clothed old man raised his eyes. His voice still remained impassive. "Chen Yun? Doesn't that name belong to one of the 4 great elders of the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion, Elder Yun?" Han Kai's heart tightened upon hearing this name as he anxiously asked, "You are indeed worthy of being the Han clan by having quite a great understanding of my Wind Lightning Pavilion." The grey-clothed old man smiled faintly as he replied, "Old Chen must be joking. The 4 great elders, Feng, Yun, Lei, Tian, are all renowned within the northern region of the Central Plains. How could this younger generation not know about them?" Han Kai cupped his hands and smiled. Immediately, he probingly said, "Old Chen, Xiao Yan has indeed been a little too heavy-handed in the matter today. However, the blades and spears don't have eyes when one fights. Injuries and deaths are common." The grey-clothed old man waved his hand and interrupted Han Kai's words. He glanced at Xiao Yang, whose expression ultimately did not show much changes before slowly speaking. "The Grand Elder of the Han clan and I can be considered to have been acquaintances back then. I shall not make things difficult for you. I can indeed temporarily put the matter of Hong Chen being injured aside. However, before this person must honestly account to the old me just where the 3000 lightning movement that he practices originated from." Chen Yun's face suddenly became much darker and colder when he spoke until the end. The 3000 lightning movement had a special meaning to the Wind Lightning Pavilion. Not only was it one of the top agility techniques in the Wind Lightning Pavilion, but only by mastering the 3000 lightning movement until the highest level would one possess the qualification to practice the Wind Lightning Pavilion's most guarded skill. 3000 Lightning Illusionary Body. The reason that the Wind Lightning Pavilion possessed its current position on the Central Plains today was related to this 3000 Lightning Illusionary Body. However, the difficulty of practicing this was extremely high. One of the requirements was that one needed to master the 3000 lightning movement until the highest level. During these years, there had been few people, within the entire Wind Lightning Pavilion, who had successfully mastered it. Old Chen. This matter is likely just a misunderstanding. If we discuss it properly, we should be able to resolve it. Why must we meet with swords drawn? Han Kai cupped his hands toward Chen Yun and spoke courteously. This matter has nothing to do with your Han clan. The 3000 lightning movement is one of the secret skills that cannot be spread to any outsider. Hence, this matter cannot simply be put aside. Chen Yun coldly glanced at Han Kai. His gaze immediately slid to Xiao Yan as he coldly spoke. You have two choices. 1. Return with me to the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion and allow the pavilion head to decide how to deal with you. 2. The old me will kill you on the spot. No matter what, the 3000 lightning movement must not land in the hands of an outsider. Magic. The people from the Hong clan quietly laughed in a cold voice upon hearing the words of Chen Yun that left no room for argument. The faces of Han Kai's group had turned extremely ugly instead. Han Shui's pretty face had suddenly become a lot paler. Old Chen. Han Kai opened his mouth with the intention of saying something more. Han Kai, the old me only allowed you to speak so much on account of the Grand Elder of the Han clan. Do not fail to appreciate kindness. This matter is not something that you can meddle in. If you really wish to do so, your Han clan will likely be unable to endure the fury of the Wind Lightning Pavilion. Chen Yun coldly cried out. Han Kai's expression changed slightly upon hearing Yun Chen's cold cry. The strength of the Han clan and the Wind Lightning Pavilion was too far apart. If the other party intended on destroying them, it would only require an intention. Uncle Han, this matter has nothing to do with all of you. Do not continue to meddle. A laugh was transmitted over while Han Kai was struggling in his heart. This caused his heart to shake. He raised his head only to see Xiao Yan's smiling face. Xiao Yan, sorry. Han Kai's fist was slightly tightened as he sighed. He was the clan head of the Han clan. He was responsible to the Han clan for each and every single action. These words of Xiao Yan had clearly indicated that he did not wish for the Han clan to be implicated in this matter. Xiao Yan smiled. He did not blame Han Kai. The strength of the Wind Lightning Pavilion was extremely great. It was fine for Xiao Yan, who was by himself. At the very most, he could just flee. The Central Plains was huge. How would the Wind Lightning Pavilion be able to do as it pleased? However, if he were to get the Han clan involved, the Han clan would become his burden. Hence, Xiao Yan was still extremely calm in his heart. Actually, when it came to this level of his, all of this no longer mattered. The so-called laughing at the situation was describing this principle. Hey, it is unexpected that you still have some loyalty. Chen Yun coldly laughed. His shriveled hand was slowly extended from his sleeves as he faintly said, since that is the case, are you planning to follow me back to the Wind Lightning Pavilion, or do you wish for the old me to act and cripple you? Xiao Yang suddenly laughed as he looked at the indifferent face of Chen Yun. He shook his head. I am not interested in the Wind Lightning Pavilion. Hence, I will not go. Chen Yun nodded. The killing intent in his eyes soared. In that case, you are choosing the second route. Xiao Yang slowly raised his head. Pride flashed across his young and handsome face as he parted his mouth and smiled. As for crippling me, honestly speaking, you are still not qualified to do so with your strength, which has not reached that of a 5-star Do Zone. Cold smiles were lifted on the faces of those from the Hong clan. From the way they saw it, Xiao Yang was completely seeking death by contradicting Chen Yun in this manner. Han Kai also laughed bitterly in his heart as he let out a sigh. He did not know why the extremely calm Xiao Yang would suddenly say such words. The strength of this Chen Yun was similar to that reclusive Grand Elder of their Han clan. Xiao Yang's strength could indeed be considered outstanding among those of the same class. However, the person in front of him now was not some Do Huang. Instead, it was a renowned elite dozone. Han Shui's pretty face was pale white. She clenched her hand, bit her lower red lip with the back of her teeth. She was extremely unwilling to let things develop until such an extent. From the way she saw it, if she had not stubbornly invited Xiao Yan, he would not have ended up getting involved in the matter between the Han and Hong clan. As such, he would also not reveal the matter of possessing the 3000 lightning movement and end up attracting trouble. Magic. A pair of somewhat icy hands gently held Han Shui's delicate hand while she was blaming herself. She turned her head and found that it was Han Yu, elder sister. Han Shui looked at Han Yu. Some moisture was gathering in her bright eyes. There is no need to worry. Xiao Yang is not a reckless person. If he dares to speak in this manner, he might well possess some confidence. Han Yu rubbed Han Shui's smooth, black hair as she comforted her. However, her comforting words appeared somewhat ridiculous even to herself. After all, the strength of this Chenyun elder was even stronger than that of First Elder Su Qian from the Inner Academy. Regardless of how strong Xiao Yang was, he was ultimately still a Do Huang. The gap between a Do Huang and a Do Zone was something that Han Yu, being a Do Huang, understood clearly in her heart. Ha ha. While everyone's hearts were churning with different thoughts, Chenyun ended up laughing in his extreme anger after being momentarily stunned. This was the first time in so many years that a person from the younger generation had told him he was unqualified. It is indeed the case of the young replacing the old. The young people these days are getting more and more arrogant. All right. Today, let this old me personally witness why the old me is unqualified. Chenyun laughed to the sky. However, everyone could hear the fury within his loud laughter. It seemed that this elder from the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion was truly angered by Xiao Yang's words. Upon hearing the fury that was hidden within Chenyun's words, the hearts of Han Kai's group sank. However, being the person involved, Xiao Yang merely used a pair of dark black ink-like eyes to stare at the laughing Chenyun intently. There was a chillness faintly flashing within them. Getting into trouble with the Wind Lightning Pavilion was not something that Xiao Yang was willing to see happen. However, this did not mean that he would simply allow the other party to do as they pleased in disposing him. Following this old fellow to the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion was definitely not something that Xiao Yang would agree to. When he reached their territory where they had a large number of people, it was likely that he would be unable to survive even if he possessed the Earth Demon puppet. This foolish act of placing himself in a situation where he would die was something that he would never do. Although this old fellow Chenyun was an expert at the peak of a 4-star Do Zone, Xiao Yang was not afraid of him. With his numerous trump cards, there was no need to even discuss escaping from Chenyun's hand. It was not impossible even if he wished to kill Chenyun. However, if he did this, he would once again descend into a weary state. The smile on Chenyun's face gradually turned gloomy after being stared at by Xiao Yang's icy-cold eyes. His shriveled hand curled slightly as threads of frightening lightning flickered. Finally, they leaped and appeared like electric arcs. The old me really doesn't believe that you can escape from my hands today. A killing intent was revealed in Chenyun's eyes as he slowly stepped forward. His body strangely disappeared the moment his foot landed. The faces of Han Kai's group changed slightly upon seeing Chenyun disappear. This old fellow had indeed attacked. Han Shui's pretty face grew even paler. She clenched her hand and suddenly tossed Han Yu's hand aside. Her body swiftly rushed forward. She had just appeared in front of Xiao Yang when Chenyun slowly appeared. Shui. Han Kai's face became shocked as Han Shui suddenly rushed forward. He hurriedly cried out, "You are seeking death." Chenyun, who had appeared, glanced at Han Shui, who was blocking the path in front of him. The corner of his mouth emitted a cold cry as he waved his sleeves. A majestic force swept out and arrived in front of her in the blink of an eye. Under such a powerful force, even Han Shui's heart formed a chill that was difficult to resist. Just when Han Shui was waiting to die, a suction force suddenly surged from behind. Her body was swiftly pulled back before Xiao Yang grabbed her delicate waist and quickly. The silver glow had just appeared when a completely silver-colored arm suddenly penetrated the silver glow and violently collided with Chenyun's lightning ghost claw. Immediately, a muffled sound and a frightening air wave spread out like ocean waves from the point of contact. Spiderweb-like cracks began to appear on the ground wherever the wave passed. Clang! The silver-colored arm and the lightning ghost claw paused for an instant before Old Man's body shook. Under the violent airwaves, its owner's feet hurriedly took over a dozen steps back in empty space before barely managing to stabilize his body. The sudden scene caused all the eyes present to solidify. This was especially the case when they saw that it was actually Chen Yun who was unable to hold out and was forced back in the exchange. Shock came surging out of their hearts in an uncontrolled manner. Chen Yun steadied his body and swiftly raised his head. Some astonishment had also appeared on his face, which was covered with killing intent. His eyes stared intently at the silver glow as he spoke in a deep voice, "Who are you? This is a matter of my wind lightning pavilion. Please do not intervene." The silver glow slowly scattered under Chen Yun's focus. Finally, a human figure that seemed to be completely constructed from silver appeared in front of the eyes of everyone present. The human figure was not very huge. Instead, it appeared a little skinny. Its skin was like silver while both of its eyes were empty, and a vague silver glow flickered within it. Moreover, the thing that really shocked people was that there was not a single person who could sense its breathing. It is actually a puppet? How is it possible that this fellow possesses such a powerful puppet? Chen Yun was immediately startled after the silver glow disappeared. With his eyesight, he was naturally able to tell that this was a puppet without any will. Moreover, the thing that he really could not believe was that the strength of this puppet was stronger than him. "I have said before that you do not have the qualification to cripple me." A voice that contained a dark chill was slowly emitted from behind the silver-colored human figure. Immediately, Xiao Yan stepped forward and stared at Chen Yun with dense eyes. Chen Yun's face twitched a little as he sinisterly said, "It is unexpected that you actually possess a Dozone-class puppet. I have really underestimated you." The moment these words were said, both the people from the Han and Hong clan became dull. A Dozone-class puppet? How is this possible? Kill him! Xiao Yan was expressionless. His finger suddenly pointed toward Chen Yun as he slowly gave a command. Xiao Yan's voice had just sounded when the earth demon puppet in front of him stepped on the ground. With a "shio" sound, it transformed into a light figure that charged toward Chen Yun. This act of completely relying on its physical speed to cause a sonic boom along the way caused everyone watching it to become speechless. Chen Yun's heart sank as the earth demon puppet charged over. After the brief exchange earlier, he knew that the strength of this puppet was stronger than him. Its physical body was so strong that it was frightening. Additionally, it did not have the slightest feeling of pain. If one were to really fight, Chen Yun was definitely no match for it. "Hong Li, I will hold back this puppet. You will kill that brat. Once he dies, the puppet will naturally stop. Once he is finished off, I will give this Dozone-class puppet to your Hong clan." Chen Yun hurriedly dodged when the silver glow flickered. At the same time, he let out a cry. Hong Li was initially startled when he heard this. Immediately, a greediness that was difficult to hide erupted from his eyes. A Dozone-class puppet was worth the entire Hong clan going all out to obtain. "Old Chen, please be reassured. I will personally act and kill this brat to take revenge for my son, who was injured by him." Hong Li licked his mouth and smiled in a savage manner. "Relax, if anyone dares to stop you, I, as an elder of the Wind Lightning Pavilion, will announce that that person will be an enemy of the Wind Lightning Pavilion. We will not rest until we finish him off." The next words from Yun Chen caused Han Kai, whose feet were just about to move, to turn gloomy. "Ha ha, thank you, old Chen." Hong Li let out a loud laugh as he gloatingly glanced at Han Kai, after which, he revealed a cruel smile toward the indifferent face of Xiao Yan. His dark, cold voice was filled with an incomparable killing intent. "Brat, relax, I will first break all your 4 limbs and allow you to taste what is called a fate worse than death." Killing intent also flashed across Xiao Yan's expressionless face as he looked at Hong Li striding over with a savage smile. These people from the Hong clan were indeed hateful. "Hong Li, aren't you ashamed of attacking someone from the younger generation with your status?" Han Kai looked at the pale-faced Han Shui by the side before involuntarily crying out with a furious voice. Hong Li momentarily paused. He glanced at Han Kai and coldly laughed. "What younger generation? His strength is comparable to even those of our generation." Han Kai, if your Han clan wishes to intervene, you can step forward as long as you aren't afraid of the Wind Lightning Pavilion making you repay after that. He. Han Kai's face turned green upon hearing the threat within Hong Li's words. However, he really did not dare intervene. The words that Chen Yun had mentioned earlier had completely suppressed the Han clan. The Wind Lightning Pavilion was a great being that the Han clan could not fight against. Hong Li once again gloatingly laughed when he saw that Han Kai did not dare to make any unusual movements. He clenched his hand and a sharp broadsword appeared in it. The snow-white blade reflected a cold glow under the sunlight that caused palpitations in one's heart. The broadsword in Hong Li's hand was randomly hacked a couple of times in front of him. One could see that even the air itself had formed a slight depression. Although this Hong Li was really hateful, his strength was not weaker than Han Kai according to Xiao Yan's guess. It was likely that this fellow was also an expert who had half a foot in the Dozone class. However, regardless of whether this person had half a foot into the Dozone class, as long as he had not truly entered that level, Xiao Yan would not feel even the least bit of fear. Half a foot into the Dozone class and a genuine Dozone were not even close to being the same. Magic powerful deep green-colored Do Chi slowly surged out of Hong Li's body. A wild wind suddenly appeared, whistling as it blew over the arena. The Chi method Hong Li practiced was at the wind affinity. Do Chi of this affinity usually leaned more toward speed and agility. Moreover, its offensive strength was also quite strong. Hong Li swiftly finished that brat off. Chen Yun's cry was suddenly transmitted over while Xiao Yang was pondering the Chi method in his heart. However, the cry this time around faintly had the addition of anxiety. The cold smile on the corner of Xiao Yang's mouth grew even wider as his gaze swiftly followed the voice and turned. He could see that Chen Yun, who still had a look of superiority earlier, had already been suppressed by the Earth Demon puppet until he was at a disadvantage. Each time it swung its fist, he would be forced to dodge in a miserable manner. With the strength of the Earth Demon puppet, Chen Yun was completely no match for it in a head-on collision. Since the puppet could not use a Do skill, it was likely that his situation would not become more treacherous. Even though this was the case, anyone could tell that Chen Yun only had the ability to protect himself under the attacks of the Earth Demon puppet. He did not have the ability to retaliate. Chen Yun's situation was also absorbed by Hong Li's eyes. His heart involuntarily quivered. It was unexpected that the puppet would be so strong. Even Chen Yun had ended up in such a situation. Looks like he needed to quickly settle this matter. Otherwise, once the puppet killed Chen Yun, the unlucky ones would be their Hong clan. Hong Li's fist tightened when he thought until this point. Deep green-colored Do Chi lingered over his body like a tornado. He held the broadsword tightly and laughed ferociously at Xiao Yang. His feet immediately stomped viciously on the ground as he transformed into a blurry figure that suddenly shot forth, Kai. With the increase in Hong Li's speed by the wind affinity Do Chi, he managed to appear in front of Xiao Yang within a couple of blinks. The broadsword in his hand emitted a shua-shua sound as it danced, forming a couple of glaring blade glows which violently hacked at Xiao Yang with lightning-like momentum. The blade glow landed on Xiao Yang's body and penetrated it. However, it did not lead to even the slightest amount of blood being spilled. An afterimage. Hong Li's eyes coagulated slightly. Xiao Yang's figure appeared around 10 meters behind the afterimage. His gaze was ice-cold as he looked at Hong Li, who was looking over. His hands curled into a fist and a fierce jade-green flame surged out from it. After which, he separated the flames into a cluster of green flames and a cluster of invisible flames. The temperature of the arena suddenly surged when the two kinds of flame appeared. It seemed that even the moisture in the air had been completely vaporized at this moment. Hong Li's heart was startled when he sensed this change. His body moved with his thoughts as he once again charged toward Xiao Yang in a lightning-like manner. Xiao Yang's expression did not change in the face of Hong Li's attacks, who had a killing intent all over his body. He activated the 3000 lightning movement to its limit. Numerous after-images appeared in a dazzling manner as he dodged all of the attacks from Hong Li. With his speed, it was natural that Hong Li had difficulty catching up to him. Hong Li's heart also gradually became more furious when he saw that he was being delayed 1 second after another by Xiao Yang. While holding back Hong Li, the two clusters of heavenly flames in Xiao Yan's hand swiftly began to merge. With Xiao Yan's current strength, merging an angry Buddha lotus flame, created from two heavenly flames, was an extremely smooth task without the slightest difficulty. The only flaw was that it would need a little time. However, this little flaw was perfectly covered with the support of the 3000 lightning movement. Following the gradual formation of the angry Buddha lotus flame in Xiao Yan's hand, a frighteningly violent energy slowly spread out from it. Upon sensing the strength of this energy, both Hong Li's and Han Kai's group experienced a change in their expressions. Under this energy that was filled with destruction, even they could faintly sense a little fear. What a frightening dove skill! If I end up struck by it, it is likely that I would, at the very least, end up seriously injured or even killed. Han Kai involuntarily wiped off the cold sweat on his forehead as he spoke in a heartfelt manner. He looked at Hong Li and Xiao Yan flashing all around like a cat playing with a mouse and sensed the increasingly wild and violent energy in Xiao Yan's hand. Everyone from the Hong clan, listen up. Surround this brat. While Han Kai and the others were muttering among themselves, Hong Li, who was unable to catch Xiao Yan after a long chase, completely lost his patience. Quite a number of people were startled upon hearing Hong Li's roar. These fellows were really shameless. Forget about bullying someone younger despite their age. Now, they wanted to bully others with numbers. The face of this Hong clan had been completely lost today. Some of the experts from the Hong clan hesitated for a moment after hearing Hong Li's roar. However, they could only clench their teeth, harden their faces, and charge forward. You shameless bastards. Seeing the actions of the Hong clan, Han Shui, who had just become a little calmer, immediately revealed a furious expression. She could not be bothered with the restraints a woman should have as she cursed incandescently. She wanted to charge forward again, but was grabbed by Han Kai. Father, Xiao Yang has helped our Han clan. We cannot just simply do nothing, can we? Han Shui struggled as she asked, why is it that you are so reckless today? If you were to go, you will only become Xiao Yan's burden and end up dragging him now. Is this helping him? Han Kai frowned and reprimanded. Han Shui only bit her lower red lip and stopped upon hearing this. She attempted to explain, he is someone whom I invited. I cannot just stand idly by the side and watch him die. Don't pay me lip service. Do you think that I don't know what you are thinking? Han Kai snorted. He involuntarily smiled and sighed when he saw Han Shui's somewhat embarrassed pretty face. While they were arguing over on the Han clan's side, the 10+ experts from the Hong clan had formed a circle that wrapped Xiao Yang within it. This caused Xiao Yang to have difficulty using his agility to dodge, run. Weren't you happily running around like a rabbit? Once the old me chops off your legs, I will see just how you run. Hong Li's face was savage as he looked at Xiao Yang, who had stopped. He held the broadsword and strode over. However, he had just taken 2 steps forward when his body stiffened. Xiao Yang's tall body stood on the stone platform. His dark black eyes calmly looked at Hong Li. At this moment, the flame in his hand had already completed its merger. A palm-sized beautiful jade green flame slowly surfaced on his hand. Following the slow rotation of the fire lotus, threads of tiny dark black spatial lines swiftly spread from it. Have you enjoyed the chase? Xiao Yang looked at Hong Li's stiffened face before glancing at the experts from the Hong clan within a 10-meter radius from him. The corner of his mouth was lifted into a dense cold smile as he softly asked, pull back. Hong Li's eyes shrunk slightly as he cried out in a stern manner, it's too late. Xiao Yang smiled. His body slowly disappeared in a ghost-like manner while the jade-green fire lotus remained in its original spot. After which, a bright crystal glow, which carried a destructive strength, suddenly exploded. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.